Internal locus of control. What is it? Why is it important? And what happened to mine? So my internal locus of control was actually a two-part self situational awareness complex. Uh, I had the smaller mind and the bigger mind. The bigger mind is the whole everything you can't control, and then the smaller mind is your locus of control. It's the things you can control. This was a part of my Stoic philosophy before I was brutalized by a bunch of bastards and poisoned with heavy metals and then fucked over. So, in an internal locus of control, in the psychological belief that that your own actions, choices, and efforts directly determine the outcomes of your life. If you have this mindset, you will likely view yourself as the captain of your ship rather than the passenger at the mercy of fate or luck. Now, if you keep up with my page, you know I always talk about anal eating mummy god or whatever the fuck. I remembered Blondie going, if I believed in fate or destiny, which I believed that I was on my own path. I guess my own destiny. He was like, basically, you're a fool because you're destiny's pawn. Like, and I was just, and yet I did an amazing thing with that belief. Shove it up your ass, Blondie. Uh, Mister, I have to fuck everything up and get innocent people killed to get what I want. Whatever, man. Uh, Anally Mummy Guy was explaining to me it was dangerous the way I thought. Uh, and I personally didn't get it, but I guess it's an external locus of control. It is the acceptance. I mean, I think even religious retards, to some extent, believe that God has some kind of plan for them, which I would argue is the unconscious conscious and all this Carl Jung shit. Which, honestly, some of the shit just kind of gets a little contrived. But, whatever. Uh, Core characteristics of the internal locus of control. Uh, Core characteristics. People with dominant internal locus of control typically display the following traits. Personal accountability. They take full responsibility for both their successes and their failures. High motivation because they believe their hard work will pay off. They tend to be more driven and achievement oriented. Strong self-efficacy. They are confident in their ability to learn skills and overcome obstacles. I have a reason for not having that one. Resilience. They view setbacks as feedback and temporary hurdles that can be solved through different approaches. I have often come up with unique ways around issues. It's when I can't, is when I get permanently stuck. But when I think about this, I'm just, you know what, I'm going to finish the thing. Key benefits. Extensive research links the internal locus of control to several positive life outcomes. Health internal are more likely to engage in healthy behaviors like regular exercise and nutrition, eating because they believe they can influence their physical well-being. Career. Studies show that employees with the mindset significantly higher job satisfaction, up to 136% higher than those with external orientation. Mental well-being. It is associated with lower levels of stress, anxiety, and depression as an individual feels empowered to change their circumstances rather than feeling helpless. Internal versus external locus control. While no one is 100% internal or external, most people fall somewhere on the spectrum. Success attribution. Attributed to effort and ability, internal locus of control. External, attributed to luck, timing, or fate. I have a really bad habit of thinking something was luck or fated. I've always considered that kind of whimsical thinking, but you would have to understand the weird things that happen for me to attribute something to luck in my life, because I see things because of the external, like I said, the bigger world. Failure attribution. I didn't study hard enough. Internal locus of control. Teacher made the test harder. External locus of control. This is a fucking problem with me. Because remember I mentioned when I was growing up, teachers would change the criteria of something just to make me fail. That's not a joke. This happened a bunch when I was growing up. So I would argue that some of my first-hand experiences created an external locus of control to some extent. But I also had a thing for saying, fuck the teacher, I passed the test, and I literally right over the grade, I made an A anyways. And I remember the teachers would just make these stupid faces because they changed the rules at the end. Fuck you. Uh, Response to stress, proactive problem solving, internal locus control, feeling helpless, external locus control. Health outlook, believe habits can prevent illness, internal locus control, external locus control. Believes health is mostly down to genes. That's an external locus of control. You see, it's kind of weird because at the beginning of this, I got a bunch of videos about an internal locus of control in my newsfeed. This is when they had that SCMC van out there broadcasting this garbage to me. And how the fuck do you want somebody to develop an internal locus of control if you are externally invalidating every action they take? Let me give you an example. If I attributed my efforts to my ability, they destroy my ability with heavy metals. I no longer have that ability. Now everything's external. Now it's timing and fate because I'm retarded and I have no idea what I'm doing. Study hard enough, that's working hard, okay? Goalpost moving, something an elite mummy god did many times. Proactive problem solving. I actually do kind of enjoy solving problems, not typical math problems, but fixing things. I like fixing things. Feeling helpless. I think a lot of people would feel helpless in my situation when there's a bunch of bastards working against you no matter what. Health and outlook. Belief habits prevent illness. Yeah, to some extent. But if somebody is... Let's talk about this. Belief health is genes. What if there was a third category here, and you believed your health was bad because other people were poisoning you with shit? What if you believe that you have neurological problems because other people were poisoning you with shit? And not just a belief, it is a fact. Somebody else was fucking you over. Would you not believe that led to an external locus of control? And now this is the, I want it both ways. We're going to externally control a whole bunch of factors, and you got to go internal to fix the things that we are in control of. Does that sound stupid to anybody? Like, there's some guy, some asshole, who's pointed himself external locus of control guy, and he's going to sabotage everything you do, but you still got to maintain an internal locus of control, and I guess accept responsibility for a failure that's not a true failure because somebody else was cheating the entire time. Somebody else was interfering so their garbage church member could win. Because the goal of the church is to make sure you're fighting one hand behind your back so that the other guy can pretend to be great. So if you're a member of this church and you're like, why does he have an external locus of control? Here's the solution. Stop fucking with the guy. Stop poisoning him. Stop working against him. And above all else, stop interfering. The best thing you can do is go shoot yourself in the head. Trust me, the world will thank you for it. How to strengthen the internal locus of control. The internal locus of control is a learned mindset that can be shifted over time. Identify your zone of influence. When facing a problem, list what you can control, your reactions, your efforts versus what you can't control. You can't control. Now, my reactions can't be controlled because my basal ganglia is destroyed. So that's not on me. Set small wins, achievable, manageable, specific goals, reinforce the connection between your actions and positive results. Reframing language, replace passive phrases like I have to or it's my luck, which active ones like I choose or what I can do differently next time. Practice self-reflection. After success, explicitly acknowledge the specific action you took that led to that outcome instead of brushing it off as luck. I don't know how much credit for anything I can take when I was retarded on heavy metals and drugged. I really don't. But okay, Take full responsibility even when somebody else knifes you in the back. Wonderful. How does the internal locus of control improve self-confidence? This was a question I asked because it didn't make sense to me reading all that. Like, what that actually sounds like is enabling other people to fuck you up and then have no agency in what they do. An internal locus control improves self-confidence by creating a powerful feedback loop where you recognize your own agency in your success and your ability to fix your mistakes. Instead of viewing life as something that happens to you, this mindset empowers you to see yourself as the primary driver of your outcomes. Mechanisms of confidence and building. Ownership of success. When you achieve a goal in an internal locus leads you to credit your own hard work and skills rather than luck. This reinforces your belief in your competence, directly boosting your self-esteem. Reduce learned helplessness. By believing your actions matter, you are less likely to fall into a learned helplessness, a state where individuals stop trying because they feel powerless. This proactive stance builds a history of mastery of experiences that further solidify confidence. Resilience to setbacks. When faced with the failure, those with internal locus view it as a solvable problem, a need to study more next time, rather than a personal deficiency or bad luck. This makes you more resilient, less afraid of taking future risks. I think that one would be a luxury to have for me, but, no. Independent validation. People with internal locus of control typically less influenced by the opinions of others. This confidence is internalized, meaning it doesn't fluctuate as much as based external praise and criticism. I personally just don't give a shit what other people think, so I think that's kind of the same thing. The role of self-efficacy. While closely related to internal locus of control, self-efficacy, your belief in your abilities to perform a specific task, work together, building overall self-assurance. The foundation. An internal locus provides the general belief that you can influence your life. You may not feel like you can influence your life when there's a bunch of assholes running around deliberately fucking up your life. That might be a reason for my external locus of control. It really starting to sound like if you guys wanted me to develop an internal locus of control, the best thing you could do is get the fuck out of my life. Don't when you're trying to teach somebody something, this is a really complicated thing for really bad teachers. Don't contradict what you're telling them. It makes you look like an ass. Okay? Do as you are instructed. So if you're like, you need to develop an internal locus of control, then stop fucking things up externally. Okay? Go, you need to develop an internal locus of control. I go out and I work on my car, I fix it, don't come to my house at night and crack the engine block. Which is something these people haven't done yet, but I'm pretty sure they're thinking of it. The specific self-efficacy is the specific confidence that you can succeed at particular challenges. Okay? The result together, they lead to more decisive action and higher likelihood of achieving long-term goals, which create a virtuous cycle of increasing confidence. Practical impact on daily confidence. Cope better with stress because they focus on what they can change. Communicate more effectively. Relationships with taking responsibility for their conflicts. Experience higher life satisfaction by aligning their actions with their personal values and purpose. Now, as we know in this church, having values is stupid, so you'll never get this last one. If you're a church member, you can't have that one. You're not allowed to because you don't have values to begin with. This is, as you can tell, I like the idea of an internal locus of control. In fact, I used to have a really high internal locus of control. I used to focus on whatever the fuck I was doing, no matter whatever the fuck it was I was doing. Believe it or not. And I would continue in that path regardless of external factors. It is only when I realized that I was fucking being killed slowly by assholes poisoning me with heavy metals and constantly interfering in my life, and then trying to tell me, it's good! It's bad! And you're a bastard. Okay, and I want to talk about that in general. Your life is going swimmingly. I turn up and poison your family with heavy metals, I light your house on fire, and then I beat the shit out of you and rape you. How, if you had an internal locus of control, how well would you take that? Something tells me if I just kept hurting you again and again and there was nothing you could do about it outside of fantasize about the day you could kill me, you wouldn't handle it very well. Something tells me you would very quickly start developing an external locus of control. This is up to fate. Regardless of how hard you work, I just show up and smash it with my hand and then walk the fuck out. Every fucking time. And there are guys watching this that are like, I wouldn't because you told me what you're going to do and now my ego knows and now I will always hold on to my internal locus of control because you're constantly trying to take it from me by proving that it is all external because you're constantly interfering. No, this isn't that. Don't ever think about this situation in that form. When somebody asks you these questions, they give you all the information and then they tell you what's going to happen and you go, I'm going to resist because you told me to resist. That's not how life works. Okay? That's not how life works. That's not how anybody approaches anything. I'm going to resist because I'm an idiot. Is not the correct response to a damn thing. Okay. This internal locus of control stuff I find fascinating. I didn't even realize when I was doing my stoic shit that it was part of stoicism, because literally part of being a stoic is focusing on what you can control. And then if you ever want like situational awareness, you put all the stuff you can't control in a separate bubble and you basically monitor that, and then you can basically almost telepathically predict most likely outcomes of a scenario. The same way I predicted that the most likely outcome for this scenario was bad. And it was always going to be bad. Because, once again, you took an extremely mentally ill person and left them to handle their own mental issues alone. And then and I remember telling Annalene Mummy God this. I was like, you're not going to have one of those stupid vans out there watching the guy. And I was like, because you know the quantum physics things about observation and how observation can interfere with like... And he was like, no, it doesn't. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. It causes fear and anxiety when you're being constantly observed. Believe it or not. So, once again, is he going to do the right thing? I don't know. Let's keep interfering with it and then see if he does the right thing because we keep interfering with it. I don't know if people actually understand what the word stupid means, but maybe we need a better definition of the word stupid. Yeah. This is another thing that is really bothering me because I realize the further I get into this mental bullshit, the only thing I see are all skills and abilities that were all stolen from me along my path. And I'd even argue part of the damage to my basal ganglia was fucking Blondie's dumbass hypnotizing me to be reactionary to everything. Like, because he's a loser. And once again, he has to cheat, so that's his only fucking skill in life. Okay. Like, cool. You cheated to win. Congratulations, loser. I hope you're proud. But whatever, man. I don't think it really matters, but yeah, this is just something that was kind of bugging me. How they're like, develop an internal locus of control while we interfere and demonstrate exactly why an internal locus of control isn't a possibility for you because we're just going to constantly interfere.